No, he's not over. Come on, you're ridiculous.
Hello folks, I'm Deke James, Hunter Engagement Coordinator for the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission.
And I'm John Henry Harrelson, District Wildlife Biologist with the Wildlife Resource Commission.
And
we're talking turkey.
Before we get started, folks, I just want to say a couple of things based on a lot of different questions I get asked. What you are going to learn today is some of the how-tos of turkey hunting. But what I always say at programming, it's important to let your fingers do the walking first. Many of the questions I get asked can be solved with this Regulations Digest or on our website at ncwildlife.org, like hunting regulations for turkey, for example, game lands regulations, local laws, among just a few things. So before you head out into the woods and put your boots on the ground, check out the Regs Digest.
Today, we're going to be covering varying topics, including how to scout, where to scout, pros and cons of using turkey decoys, as well as an actual hunt scenario and safety measures to finalize the scene.
Exactly, and including decoy setups, which can sometimes be separate from a hunt. So what do you say we get started? Folks, this is a reenactment of an actual hunt, and I'm pretty sure I heard a gobbler right down over there. The first thing I want to do is get as close as possible to that bird without him seeing me. And since I think he's relatively close, I probably won't be setting up decoys in this case. In fact, I rarely ever use decoys, probably 20% of the times, because I'll strike a bird close. So what we're going to do now is set up. Again, this is a reenactment, and this walking stick is my shotgun. Are you ready? Let's go set up on this bird. First thing I'm going to find is a tree that is relatively close to where I think that bird is going to appear. And I want there to be a break in the topography so that when that bird does finally show himself, he's within killing range of my shotgun, or in this case, a walking stick. And you only know that by patterning your shotgun prior to the season. When you know its maximum effective range, then you know how far you need to set up. So again, as soon as that bird comes in, appears and is looking, you want to be able to kill him. Otherwise, he's going to look up, he's going to see no hen, and he's likely to leave. So we're going to set up now. So okay, folks, I'm pretty sure I know where that gobbler is. And right now I'm about 35 steps from where I think that gobbler is going to see me. So within maximum effective range of my shotgun. And before I start calling to him, I'm just going to blow my locator call again, just to pinpoint so I can aim in that direction. You should have gobbled. Let me try it again. All right, there he was. I heard him. So at this point, I'm going to get my face mask up and I'm going to get ready. The first thing I want to tell you about a turkey, you want that turkey to be in a position where he wants you more than you want him. And that's just something that you have to gauge, and here is how. The first call I'm going to make to that turkey, this is going to be a turkey that pretty much says you as a hunter want him more than he wants you. Are you ready? Can you hear him? He gobbled after I called. Let's try it again. That bird is not hot. The best thing you can do is tone down your calling. Don't call loud, and even use natural sounds like raking in the leaves, because turkeys scratch. Less is more in this case. If you pressure this gobbler, he may not even come in, or he may even have hens with him. And those are things you don't know. Now you're going to see the situation where the turkey wants you more than you want him. Hear that? It was right after. In fact, he cut off my call. Let's try that one more time. Look, he didn't even wait. That bird, and there are no absolutes in turkey hunting, he is likely to come in and come in fast. He may not, but that is a bird that is hot as he's ready. He may not be with hens, he may be with hens, but for the most part, he's ready. So now I'm gonna get in a position. I know where I hear that bird. I'm going to get the gun up. That's what you want to do. Wherever that bird is initially, point that gun in that direction. And again, I've checked my gun, maximum effective range. I know I can kill him that far if he shows. Just seen some of a tail fan. I just seen him. He's coming up behind that rise. That bird is looking here. See him? See him? See that bird looking? Now the only thing bad about him in that situation is he is in full strut. And the problem with full strut is that you're gonna eat pellets if you shoot that bird because his head is so tight to his body. The best thing to do is let him stretch out his neck. So then your full pattern is in the head and neck region and not in the breast. And the simple way you can do that is either with a turkey call or you can make like a putt. I'm on him and I'm not moving. You cannot move. When he pops up like that, you get on him, boom! If you see his head go up, you shoot again. And that's because there's times when just the margin of pellets hit. You don't want that bird regaining consciousness and taking off and flying away. A flopping bird doesn't matter, but make sure his head goes down. After that bird goes down like that, make sure the safety is on the gun, get up and we'll head towards that gobbler. Okay folks, this is scene 2. So in other words, we're going back to the same hunt, but something else is going to happen here. So pay attention because gobblers, especially nowadays, will tend to do this, especially if they don't see the hen initially. So I'm aiming back to the original spot right now because that's where I heard that gobbler, where I was before. And right now I'm waiting. I heard him gobble just a moment before, and I'm looking intently at that spot. But you always got to be looking from side to side because you never know where he's going to appear without moving your head. And look, lo and behold, there's that gobbler. He circled me. He didn't want to come in right away as they typically don't. He circles, but when he's like that, you cannot move your gun barrel. I guarantee if you move your gun barrel, if he don't immediately duck and pitch off the mountain, he will just flush into the air. So what you have to do is wait until that head goes behind a tree. And once you do that, then you move deliberately and don't make noise while you're doing it. And right here, you wait for him to come back out again. And he may come out of different sides to the tree, not the same one, but there he is. And again, like I said, if I'm going to shoot a turkey nowadays, I don't want to be eating pellets. I love to eat wild turkey meat. So I'm going to pull him out of strut. And he's a big one. As soon as he comes up, he's looking and he's suspicious. Boom! Okay, folks, I just shot at that gobbler. I didn't see his head go up, so as far as I'm concerned, he's probably flopping just over that rise. I'm going to put my safety on the gun real quick, and we're going to head towards that prize. And right there, he's sitting on that mound. That's right there. Oftentimes when you get next to a gobbler like this, he will be flopping. It's just like the chicken with the head cut off. Let him run out of steam. Unless you've got a really steep hill over a river, many hunters will go up and stop the bird from moving, usually by stepping on his head. You don't want to reach for them legs because if you do, you could get cut by the spurs or you could get bruised by those wings. It's a very powerful bird. At that point, you're getting down with your gun. At this point, before you take this bird anyway, you need to tag him. We have an app that goes on our phone, a Go Outdoors app, that you can tag your bird. You don't even need to paper tag anymore. Or on your license, and it's referred to the Big Game Harvest Report Card, you can do it on paper. You got to notch the month and the day for the turkey tag. But do keep your tagging consistent. So if you're going to choose the Go Outdoors app, always use that. If you're going to choose a paper tag, always use that. And then after you tag him, you've got till noon the next day to call that bird in. Letting the agency know about a harvested bird, and they'll ask you several questions, is very important to manage this fine species.
The next topic we're going to cover is decoys, the good and the bad of them. Up here in my hand, I've got a $10, $15 decoy you can pick up in any Walmart. And down there on the ground, we got decoys at a couple $100. Now granted, there are positives and negatives of using decoys. One of the negatives is you got to carry that thing around. It takes time setting them up, and then sometimes the birds even run from those decoys, especially if they've seen them used before. The pros of using decoys, at least for me, is they work really good out in the open. Turkeys are visual birds, so they're coming looking, expecting to see another bird. They're hearing a bird calling, they come expecting to see a bird there. So by having decoys out, it provides them that opportunity to see that bird or see the bird they hear calling and come on a little closer. Now in the hunt scenario we saw earlier, Deet wasn't using decoys, and he used his setup to be able to shoot the bird right as it came over the lip. For me, I like to use decoys when I can't use that terrain advantage. When I'm in a wide open field, when I'm along a roadbed like this, it gives the bird something to focus on other than me. The birds are looking here and not here, which is positive. However, like I stated earlier, some birds are wary of decoys. Turkeys move, and unless you got a breezy day, your decoys aren't going to be moving. So it's up to you whether you want to use decoys. A couple other things to consider when you're using decoys is how many decoys you're going to put out. What scene are you trying to portray? I oftentimes put a Jake decoy and a hen decoy out. That hen can be standing like she is here, she can be laying on the ground, her head position can be changed. It all depends on the decoys you have. Jake decoys, like the one here, often show a subordinate bird, so not a dominant bird. A big fad right now, or a big trend, is using full fan decoys or strutter decoys. They demonstrate a dominant gobbler, and that may encourage your bird that you're working to come closer, or it may encourage him to run the other way. Something else to consider when setting up decoys is the distance you set the decoys up from you and the placement. I often like to place them off my left shoulder because I'm right-handed, and it's comfortable for me to be in a shooting position toward the decoys, but also allow for me to move the gun if the birds come from another direction. I like to set the decoys up 20, 25 yards away because I know my effective range is roughly 40 yards. So that still gives me about 15 yards to play with if those birds come in and decide to hang up and don't commit all the way to coming into the decoys. Deet, you got any other tips?
I think I might have mentioned it earlier, folks. I rarely use decoys, and that's because most of the time when I'm ready to set up on a bird, because of my style of hunting, which is move, stop and call, move, stop and call, move, stop and call, I'll strike a bird close by, especially when you have a windy condition, so I don't have time to set up decoys. And like in the scene we showed, you are going to encounter two things during turkey season. Well, among others, when I start out early in the year, I'll typically have snow falling. Usually that shuts birds down. They get quiet then, but a bird will still gobble in the snow. Wind and rain are two things that hunters don't like. We have wind today. In those conditions, you want to look for leeward side of ridges, bottoms where it's calmer, because the turkeys aren't going anywhere. They're going to stay in the woods. And I do tend to, if you can't hear because of the wind, call a little bit louder, more aggressively, and sit a little bit longer. You're not always going to have bluebird days in the woods. I don't know about you guys, but turkeys mesmerize me. Folks, one of the things we're going to talk about now is probably one of the most important, and that is safety, and several different aspects of turkey hunting safety. You know, in the 1990s, the #1 cause of hunting incidents, not accidents, incidents in my home state was mistaken for game. There's absolutely no excuse for that. I'm a funny looking guy, but I don't look like a turkey. So proper identification, and in North Carolina, that is a male or bearded bird. And if you're even hunting other states, moving around, the regulations can be a little bit different. But properly identify the target. Colors not to wear. You can tell right now I'm in all camo, my favorite color. But here's an example of the typical handkerchiefs, or however you say it, that you can buy. And if you keep these colors in mind, anywhere on this wild turkey are these colors. The white on the top, the red on the caruncles, the blue, that's the pigment in between around his eyes, and the black of the body. These should not be any part of your garments. When carrying this bird out, although not required by law, you should have some type of either a vest or, like in my case, this carrying bag. And for me, typically, I'm not going from the farmhouse to the bale about 100 yards away. I may have to carry this bird a mile or a mile and a half, and this is basically a backpack. So you don't have to have something like this, but it makes carrying them easier and safer. But I'll always have an orange hat. And usually, it's a brand new orange hat, but I will carry this one because I've had it forever. And every time I've harvested a gobbler, or even moved on a gobbler when I wasn't set up, I would have this orange hat on. That way it keeps you safe when you're moving, but especially when you're carrying a bird. And that way you stay safe, and it'll keep our turkey hunting from having mistaken for game incidents. And always, again, properly identify your target as a legal turkey.
Hey, another hunter here.
Tip number one, folks, when you're walking through the woods, you could encounter another hunter already set up in a turkey hunting situation. The best way to handle that is just say, "Hunter over here," not wave your hand, not make a turkey call, just make it obvious that you're there. Because when you're in camo, it's very easy to miss that. Also, if you end up in a situation, you're coming in from a hunter at a distance that is working a bird, you can hear that gobble. What you don't want to do is try to go out around and set up in another location to work that bird. That hunter is working that bird first. Have a plan B or a plan C and come back later and set up on a different bird. That hunter's in charge of that one. It's the same thing also if you're going down the road and one of the parking lots already has a vehicle in it. If it's a small tract of land, you have to keep in mind it's not like deer hunting where everybody stays in a stationary position and another hunter can be a distant out of sight, a distance away, and that's okay. In a turkey hunting situation, when that bird gobbles, it is a goal for the hunter, as you saw earlier, to move as close as possible to that bird and set up. And what you don't want to have is multiple people trying to set up on the same bird. So always be the person that's courtesy to other hunters. And again, besides colors, keep it safe, keep it ethical, and have a great spring season.
Oh, did you hear that one?
I did hear that, John Henry. John Henry, that's my bird.
Whoa, 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 buddy. I scouted, I found him, I just heard him.
Come on, I brought you here.
I beat you to the parking lot.
All right, wait a minute. We'll flip a stick.
Stick down, I calling it.
All right, stick down.
Yes! See you later, buddy.
You always do
Going to
this
get
me.
it.